A major trade dispute has erupted between the United States and Canada, two longtime allies. The conflict started when the U.S. government, led by President Donald Trump, imposed new tariffs on Canadian imports. These tariffs alarmed Canadians, whose economy relies heavily on trade, with the U.S. Canadian leaders called the tariffs unfair, warning they could damage businesses and jobs. Tensions quickly escalated, with both national and provincial leaders searching for ways to respond. In British Columbia, officials labeled the tariffs a direct threat and began considering strong countermeasures. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau demanded the removal of all new tariffs, calling it the only fair solution. Provinces across Canada started planning their own responses to protect local economies. The issue spread beyond federal politics, uniting Canadians in concern for their jobs and communities. The once friendly relationship between the two countries was suddenly at risk. Canadian leaders faced a tough balancing act: defend their economy without worsening the conflict. The stage was set for a series of bold moves that would test the U.S. Canada partnership. As the dispute deepened, Canadians prepared to stand firm. The government weighed every option, knowing the outcome could reshape North American trade. The world watched as two close neighbors entered a high-stakes standoff. The next steps would determine not just economic futures, but the fate of a historic friendship. With both sides digging in, the trade dispute became a defining moment for leaders on both sides of the border. The pressure was on to find a solution that protected national interests without causing lasting damage. The opening shots of the trade war had been fired, and Canada was ready to respond. British Columbia's Premier David Eby unveiled a bold plan: a potential toll on American trucks using the Alaska Highway. This highway, the main land route to Alaska, runs through British Columbia and is vital for U.S. commerce. The proposed law would allow the province to impose a toll if trade tensions escalated. Eby made it clear: British Columbia would not back down in the face of U.S. tariffs. The toll was designed as leverage, targeting a critical supply route for Alaska. By raising costs for American companies, Canada hoped to pressure the U.S. into negotiations. The exact toll amount was undecided, but the message was clear: Canada was ready to act. This move marked a rare instance of a province taking direct action in an international dispute. While many goods reach Alaska by sea or air, the highway remains essential for trucking supplies. A toll would hit American businesses and Alaskan residents, increasing prices and disrupting trade. The announcement signaled that British Columbia was serious about defending its economy. The Alaska Highway, once a symbol of cross-border cooperation, was now a bargaining chip. The proposed toll became a central part of Canada's strategy in the growing trade conflict. The world took notice as a local government stepped onto the international stage. British Columbia's plan showed that provinces could play a powerful role in national disputes. The toll proposal raised the stakes, making it clear that Canada would not be passive. The trade fight had entered a new, more confrontational phase. In the Yukon, leaders and citizens debated how to respond to the trade crisis. Premier Ranj Pillai listened as Yukoners voiced creative and sometimes aggressive ideas. Suggestions ranged from banning Donald Trump Jr. from hunting trips to targeting Elon Musk's Starlink service. Some called for a toll on the Alaska Highway, echoing British Columbia's approach. Others proposed banning Alaskan athletes from the Arctic Winter Games, a key northern event. Pillai cautioned that some ideas, like banning individuals, were legally complex and risked escalating tensions. He emphasized the need for responses that were both effective and responsible. The most popular idea remained the highway toll, seen as a practical point of leverage. Pillai rejected using the Arctic Winter Games as a weapon, insisting the event should foster friendship, not division. The Yukon government aimed to balance public desire for a tough stance with the need for smart, lawful action. The public debate revealed strong unity among Canadians in the north. Yukoners wanted to stand up to U.S. tariffs, but not at the cost of their values or relationships. The government promised any action would be carefully considered and legally sound. The trade dispute had mobilized citizens, making them active participants in shaping policy. The Yukon's approach reflected a broader Canadian strategy: firm but measured. As ideas poured in, leaders weighed each one, determined to protect their communities. The region's response would help define Canada's overall stance in the trade conflict. The North was ready to support the national effort, on its own terms. While the toll was debated, Yukon took immediate steps to shield its economy. The government launched a Buy Local campaign to reduce reliance on American goods. A special fund was created to support businesses hurt by U.S. tariffs, helping them survive and keep workers employed. Yukon's liquor stores stopped buying American alcohol, switching to Canadian and international suppliers. These targeted actions sent a clear message. Yukon was acting, not just talking. The strategy focused on economic self-reliance, aiming to strengthen local businesses and communities. By using its purchasing power, Yukon demonstrated practical resistance to U.S. pressure. The government continued to seek new legal ways to protect the territory. The goal was to defend the economy without escalating the conflict. Yukon's approach was about smart, targeted moves, avoiding broad retaliation. The territory's actions became a model for other regions facing similar challenges. The focus remained on resilience and readiness, not provocation. Yukon's response showed that even small governments could make a big impact in a trade dispute. Canadian leaders responded with a mix of strength and diplomacy. Premier David Eby called the U.S. tariffs a direct attack, justifying the highway toll as a defensive measure. Prime Minister Trudeau echoed the demand for all tariffs to be lifted, uniting federal and provincial voices. Yukon's Premier Pillai stressed the importance of maintaining good relations with Alaska, even while preparing for tough measures. He rejected divisive ideas like banning individuals or athletes, preferring dialogue over confrontation. The Arctic Winter Games became a symbol of this approach, an opportunity for friendship, not retaliation. Canada's strategy combined readiness for a trade fight with a commitment to negotiation. Leaders prepared countermeasures but left the door open for peaceful resolution. The message was clear. Canada would defend itself, but not at the cost of its values or relationships. The country sought to protect its interest while preserving the partnership with the U.S. Diplomacy and strength would guide Canada through the crisis. The Alaska Highway is more than a road. It's Alaska's lifeline to the rest of the U.S. With Alaska separated from the lower 48, the highway is the only land route for trucks carrying vital supplies. A toll would raise shipping costs, making goods more expensive for Alaskans and businesses. This strategic leverage gave British Columbia and Yukon unique power in the dispute. The highway, built as a symbol of U.S. Canada cooperation, now became a point of contention. The threat of a toll underscored how deeply the two countries depend on each other. The situation highlighted the risks when economic ties are strained. The future of this crucial trade route hinged on resolving the larger conflict. What was once a symbol of friendship now stood at the center of a high-stakes standoff. The Alaska Highway's fate would reflect the outcome of the entire trade dispute. Tolls on the Alaska Highway threatened to damage the close ties between Canada and the U.S. While aimed at Washington, such measures risked alienating Alaskans who shared deep bonds with their Canadian neighbors. Premier Pillai's refusal to ban Alaskan athletes from the Arctic Winter Games showed a desire to protect these relationships. Leaders faced a tough choice: defend their economies or preserve cross-border friendships. The dispute affected everything from government policy to local events and family ties. Escalation risked a cycle of retaliation, making resolution harder. The challenge was to solve economic problems without causing lasting harm to the partnership. The connections between northern communities are especially strong and vulnerable. A prolonged trade fight could damage these bonds for years. Preserving the U.S. Canada friendship was as important as resolving the tariffs. In Washington, President Trump's administration saw tariffs as part of an America First strategy. The goal was to protect U.S. industries from what they viewed as unfair foreign competition. Trump argued that tough measures were needed to rebalance trade and bring jobs back. Canadian countermeasures like the Alaska Highway toll were seen as unfair retaliation. The administration believed the U.S. could outlast Canada in a trade war. Washington often dismissed Canadian concerns, insisting America had more leverage. The proposed toll was viewed as a direct challenge, especially to Alaskan interests. Trump's team was ready to escalate, threatening more tariffs if Canada pushed back. The standoff created a tense, unpredictable situation with both sides refusing to back down. Each government felt justified, making compromise difficult. The U.S. saw itself as finally standing up for its interests, even if it meant clashing with close allies. The trade dispute became a test of resolve for both nations. The future of the trade dispute remained uncertain. British Columbia's toll law was ready, but unused. a tool held in reserve. Whether it would be deployed depended on U.S. actions. Canada's main goal was clear removal of all U.S. tariffs. Negotiations continued, with both sides hoping to avoid a prolonged trade war. The threat of countermeasures gave Canada leverage in talks. Meanwhile, provinces worked to strengthen their economies and reduce vulnerability. The focus was on resilience, diplomacy, and readiness for a long standoff if needed. The path to resolution required careful negotiation and compromise. Leaders aimed to restore the stable, cooperative relationship that had defined U.S.-Canada ties. The hope was to repair the friendship and ensure fair trade for the future. The outcome would shape not just economies, but the spirit of North American partnership. The world waited to see if cooler heads would prevail.